My husband has a corn problem. It started small, the way these things always do. A bag of popcorn here, a slice of cornbread there.
Popcorn.
I thought it was cute. Everyone needs a hobby, I told myself. But hobbies don't usually require midnight trips to neighboring farms. Flashlight in hand, standing among the stalks like some pilgrim saint awaiting revelation. He goes every night now. He tells me it clears his head. I tell him it's trespassing. We have these conversations in the kitchen, where the walls are lined with cans of creamed corn, as if we're preparing for nuclear war, but only in the maize department. Our meals have become predictable. Breakfast, cornflakes. Lunch, corn chowder. Dinner, corn on the cob. Dessert, corn pudding.
Popcorn.
I once suggested spaghetti. He stared at me like I'd spoken blasphemy. Then he said, we could put corn in it. Even television has changed. He watches documentaries about Midwestern farms. Drone footage of endless cornfields rolls across the screen, and he sighs like a man watching the ocean.
There's an
Sometimes
alien
he
in the
shouts,
cornfield.
Look at the height on those stalks. With the same tone other men reserve for football, conversation is limited. He brings up soil conditions, pest control, the correct butter to salt ratio for popcorn.
Popcorn.
Last week he asked me if I thought he'd look good in overalls. I've tried to be patient. I married him for better or for worse, though I didn't expect worse. 2 mean kernels in every conceivable crevice of the house. I sweep them out of the couch cushions, shake them out of our bed sheets. Once, I found popcorn in the bathtub.
Popcorn.
He couldn't explain that one, and frankly, I didn't want him to. I've considered interventions, therapists, support groups, maybe an exorcist. But then I watch him, standing so earnestly in a cornfield at midnight, silhouetted against the moon, whispering God knows what to the stalks. And I think, well, at least he's not gambling. Besides, if the world ever runs out of corn, I'll be married to the only man who saw it coming. My husband has become entirely corn-based. It wasn't always this way. When we married, he was a man of many interests. Fishing, football, occasionally paying the electric bill on time. Now, he's narrowed it down to one golden obsession. Every night, he sneaks out to the cornfields. He thinks I don't notice, but I can hear the back door creak and the faint whisper of husks as he disappears into the night. Sometimes he comes home with mud on his boots, sometimes with a single ear tucked into his shirt pocket.
There's an
Once,
alien in the
I found
cornfield.
silks in his hair. Our diet has suffered. He only eats corn products. Popcorn for breakfast,
Popcorn.
cornbread for lunch, corn chowder for dinner. Last week, I served him a salad. He stared at it like it was a crime scene and asked, very seriously, where's the corn? I told him, not every meal needs corn. He chewed in silence, then sprinkled canned kernels over the lettuce when he thought I wasn't looking. Television is another ordeal. He watches hour-long drone footage of cornfields on YouTube. He calls it relaxing. Sometimes he shouts, farming terms at the screen, as if the corn can hear him. The neighbors think we're into gaming, but no, it's just a man screaming good yield. At Nebraska farmland, he only talks about corn, the weather. Corn likes rain. Politics, subsidized corn. Our marriage. You know what would fix things? More corn. I once tried to discuss our taxes, and he replied, have you considered corn futures? I want to be a supportive wife, but it's becoming difficult. There are kernels in the laundry, husks under the sofa, cobs in the bathtub. I can't even light a candle without him muttering, you know what else burns real nice? Corn husks. I've thought about confronting him, but he seems so happy. Last night, I looked out the window and saw him in the moonlight, arms outstretched in the field, whispering to the stalks like a priest. He came in smiling, pockets full of kernels.
There's an
Maybe I'll
alien
let
in
it
the
go.
cornfield.
After all, he could be into gambling, or worse, potatoes. But it's true. My husband has developed a troubling habit. Every night, without fail, he slips out of bed and wanders into the cornfields. Sometimes he's gone for hours. When I ask where he's been, he says, nowhere. While brushing a bit of husk off his shirt, he doesn't realize I can smell the butter. At first I tried to laugh it off. Everyone has their quirks, but lately it's consumed him. He only eats corn products. Popcorn, cornbread, corn chowder, corn fritters. He says it's easier this way. Easier than what? I don't know. I offered him fettuccine alfredo the other night and he looked at me with genuine sorrow, as though I had suggested something hurtful. His evenings are no better. He sits in front of the television for hours, glassy-eyed, watching endless footage of cornfields swaying in the wind. If I speak, he waves me off. Sometimes I catch him switching the channel quickly when I walk in, as though embarrassed. Once, when I pressed the issue, he said, "It's research." Conversations have become limited. He only wants to talk about soil conditions, harvest yields, and the proper salt ratio on popcorn. I told him he was becoming obsessed. He said, "Everyone does it. Corn is natural." I've started to wonder if this is my fault. Maybe I wasn't supportive enough when he first brought home that novelty popcorn maker. Maybe I should have been more enthusiastic about the corn-shaped throw pillows. A good wife should encourage her husband's interests, shouldn't she?
There's
Still,
an alien in the
it's hard.
cornfield.
I find kernels in the bed, husks in the car. Once I opened the bathroom door, and there he was, sitting quietly in the tub, holding a single cob. He didn't even look surprised to be caught. I don't know what the solution is. Therapy? A cooking class? Or maybe I just have to accept that marriage is full of compromise. Some wives lose their husbands to cards or grain beverages. I lost mine to corn. At least it keeps him busy. But it's a fact that my husband has become fixated on corn. Every night, he leaves the house to stand in the fields. He doesn't take tools or equipment, just himself, out there among the stalks, sometimes until dawn. When I ask him what he's doing, he says, "Just looking." At home, his diet has narrowed considerably. Popcorn for breakfast, corn chowder for lunch, corn on the cob for dinner. Cornbread fills the gaps. He claims other foods make him feel unfaithful to the crop. I offered him a slice of pie last week. He asked if it had corn in it. When I said no, he shook his head sadly and refused. Our television is no longer ours. He finds programs with cornfields in them, farming documentaries, drone footage, anything with a stalk and frame. Sometimes he pauses the screen just to admire the rows.
There's an
He will lean
alien in
back
the
in his chair and
cornfield.
say things like, "That's good density." He doesn't talk much anymore, unless it's about corn. He'll launch into long monologues on husk texture or the ideal butter to salt ratio. I try to change the subject, but he circles back. Last night I asked how his day was. He said, "Tall." The house itself is starting to suffer. Kernels appear in the strangest places, inside shoes, under pillows, once in the washing machine. I keep sweeping, but there are always more. Still, he seems content. When I catch him at the window late at night, staring out at the fields, there's a peacefulness about him I can't bring myself to disturb. I suppose there are worse things a husband could be drawn to. And if it ever comes to famine, at least we'll be prepared.
This is the room. There is no exit.